Question. I recognize the member for Orleans.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Madam Speaker, the Premier's own analysts at Infrastructure Ontario flagged that Therme's weak finances. As the Minister has already explained to us, the analysts at Infrastructure Ontario are world-renowned. This is what they noted. They noted that Therme wasn't cash flow positive. They noted that they had low liquidity, and they noted that they had no real business footprint. But instead of walking away, the Premier's government leaned in, investing public dollars and giving away public land. Now more than ever, we need a government that is focused on strong financial fundamentals. Madam Speaker, why did the Premier and his minister ignore every financial red flag and still push forward with a deal that any reasonable government would have shut down on day one?
Because they... Response. I recognize the Minister of Infrastructure.
Madam Speaker, again, they passed the financial test. Mr. Speaker, we've had several auditor reports. We've even had an integrity commissioner report. But, Mr. Speaker, we are here. We are constructing, we are rebuilding Ontario Place. And do you know what's most important? Yes, the jobs. Of course, the jobs. Of course, the fact that we'll have a wonderful place to go, all families can enjoy. But also, we're going to make it a self-sustaining site, Madam Speaker. We will have tenants that will be paying the province in order to be there. That way, we know Ontario Place will not be left to fall apart like it was under the Liberals. It will continue to be there for families to enjoy. It will continue to be there for new workers that will work on the site. Madam Speaker, we will continue to invest in Ontario Place. We will continue to protect jobs, and we will continue to stand up for Ontario families every...
Question. I recognize the member for Orleans.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. My supplemental is also for the Premier. Let's be honest. This isn't a one-off. We've seen this government bend the rules for their friends before, from the Greenbelt to Service Ontario centres. At every turn, this government blurs the line between public service and private interest. Therme wasn't chosen because it was the best choice. It was chosen because the government made sure no one else stood a chance. As the government considers billions in stimulus and support spending, will the Premier just finally admit that there's a broader pattern where insiders win and Ontarians are left footing the bill?
Response. I recognize the Minister of Infrastructure.
Madam Speaker, there were over 30 participants in the process. Therme was recommended by Infrastructure Ontario, an arm's-length agency. We've done Auditor General reports. We've had Integrity Commissioner reports. Madam Speaker, what's most important to Ontarians today is to protect Ontario, to fight for Ontario, to fight for Canada, to protect jobs. That is what our government is doing. That is why the people elected us. That is why the people elected us, and that is why the people elected the Premier, because the Premier has been leading the nation in this fight. He has been relentless. He is making extraordinary changes, leading the way to removing barriers for interprovincial trade that will boost our economies here, especially in Ontario. And we will continue to focus on that. The economy, protecting jobs, and standing behind the Premier as he fights for all of Canadians.